So, today I'm going to talk about the differences between rats and ferrets. The pros and cons, Um, I have both rats and ferrets and birds. So, I've had a great wide range of pets. I've also had reptiles. So, rats are actually very interesting. They're like a mix between all of them. um, with ferrets, they're more like cats. You give them a lot of cat toys. Um, they like hammocks and stuff, and they play a lot like kittens. They smell really bad compared to rats. Rats, you can't even smell them at all. They're both litter trained. Um, Ferrets also shed. I don't know if rats necessarily shed as bad as ferrets because I haven't had rats long enough, but my ferrets, when they would shed, it would be crazy. Their blankets would be completely covered in fur, and it would be really, really bad. Even coming out of the wash, it would still be covered in fur. Um, Another thing is ferret or rats, or not rats, damn it. Ferrets bite. They nip at your feet, and it can actually hurt a lot. It's pretty hard to get them to stop once they start. Rats normally don't bite. At least mine don't. Only one of them does, and if they do bite, it's kind of like a little like gentle nibble, kind of like cockatiels will gently nibble on your finger, or like a puppy will gently nibble on your finger, or kittens will gently nibble. It's like a play bite. Um, I don't really know. Uh, Another thing is that my ferrets got sick a lot, and they cost a lot more to take to the vet. I guess that just depends on your vet and where you take them, but my ferrets cost a lot more than my rats. Not to mention the upstart cost is a lot more. Ferrets can be between 160 to 200 plus dollars. Plus, they're also illegal in some states, and rats are very cheap. You can get them for $4.50 from a feeder bin, or you can pay anywhere up to like $60 for a fancy breeder rat. But all of mine were $5, except for the one. The one is was $12, and that's because she's a Rex, so she has curly hair. I Another thing about ferrets is that you can only really have two or three because they need a lot of space. Whereas in a cage that I kept two ferrets in, I can keep 4 to 6 rats, and having 4 to 6 rats doesn't smell either. My cage right now, I have 5 rats, and they don't even smell near as bad as when I just had one ferret for that short month before I got Ari, her sister. Um, so yeah, another thing is they're very similar to ferrets as they have fleece lining, and they both have the same kind of toys. Except for ferrets are more, like I said earlier, cat toys, and rats like more bird toys. So like all them little wood to hang toys, the ladders, the rope bridges, and the seagrass nets. They really love them, and little wicker balls and stuff. Try to get your rats more bird toys than hamster toys, because hamster toys are normally smaller and they don't really like them as much. Another thing is the homemade toys that you can make are very similar to homemade bird toys. So if you have birds and you like birds but you don't want to have birds because they're a lot messier and they're louder and they live forever, Rats are a good alternative if you want something similar to a bird. They also have really cute little squeaky noises that they make, and it warms my heart every time I hear it because it reminds me of my Coley. And she was my cockatiel, and she passed sadly 6 years ago. But I'll sit there and I'll hear them out here squeaking, and it almost sounds like a cockatiel. So, um, that little quiet chatter they make, it's actually really endearing, and it makes me feel really happy when I hear them making them little noises. They play a lot, just like ferrets, and uh, kittens. They're like kittens. Another thing is, they're very very smart, and they're not near as stubborn as ferrets are. Um, Rats are a lot more likely to chill on your shoulder and just sit there with you and play with you and let you cuddle them, especially if you get males. Um, then ferrets, they are more like, hey, let's play. Oh, and another thing is that ferrets have this thing where they will go into like mini sleeping comas sometimes, and you legit think they're dead, and you'll shake them and you'll rattle them and they won't wake up. And I had this happen to me twice, and I literally thought Jackson died, and I was terrified. And then I went like this and just started petting him on his head like this, crying my eyes out because I thought he was dead because he's barely breathing and he wasn't waking up. I picked him up and I literally shook him like this. His head's going all like this. He doesn't wake the fuck up. But I pet him like this and he opens his eyes like, hi, Bobby, good morning. And takes a big yawn, and I'm like, oh my god, you scared me to death. So that's another thing. Rats don't have that, so you don't have to worry about having a big heart attack, thinking that your animal is dead. However, the sad part is ferrets live for a lot longer. Rats only live for about 2 to 3 years. And ferrets, I believe, live around 6 to 12 years. Um, it depends, but rats really, unfortunately, don't last that long. It's very sad. I'm sorry if I keep looking off screen. Most of the time, I'm looking over at my cage. Here's my cage. It's a very big cage. It's actually a sugar glider cage that I purchased off of Amazon. It's 2 levels, and then I put in a level of accreditation shelf because I didn't have the space in my camper for accreditation. I need some skinnier, taller. So that's what I came up with, and it works great. I mean, they love it. I've got my 5 girls in there. Um, yeah. Oh, and another thing about rats versus ferrets is that ferrets, um, they eat meat and meat based things, whereas rats eat anything. So if you run out of food, or if like the coronavirus happened, if you don't want to go out and get food, you can literally feed them whatever you want. You can feed them, um, cereal or pasta, whatever. Um, Not saying ferrets are bad. These are just the reasons why I chose a rat over a ferret. So yeah. Um, but of course, everyone should make a lot of research, or should do a lot of research